You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Folks, the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's something that you'd love to learn? As an adult, do you make time to explore the new things as often as you'd like? Or has that sense of curiosity been left behind? Kids are always learning, always growing, but as adults, sometimes we lose that spark. What's something you've been wanting to pick up? Gardening, a new language, maybe finally beat your best friend in bowling. Therapy can help you reconnect with that sense of wonder. Your back-to-school era can start at any age. BetterHelp, because learning and growing should never stop. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/DLB to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DLB.
Now's a good time to remember where the story of tequila started. In 1795, the first tequila distillery was opened by the Cuervo family. And 229 years later, Cuervo is still going strong. Family owned from the start, same family, same land. Now's a good time to enjoy Cuervo, the tequila that invented tequila. Go to Cuervo.com to shop tequila or visit a store near you. Cuervo, now's a good time. Trademarks owned by Becle, SAB the CV. Copyright 2024. Proximo. Jersey City, New Jersey. Please drink responsibly.
Shadow Show.
Shadow Show.
Shadow Show.
Shadow Show.
Shadow Show.
Shadowing it.
Amin isn't really a morning person totally, so when he hits me with a burst of enthusiasm and burger breath, saying yesterday was National Burger Day, it startles me because I'm not used to this early in the morning Amin having fire yet. What did you do on National Burger Day? Because my father celebrates National Burger Day. He informed me yesterday that you could get a 1-cent bacon cheeseburger at Wendy's with any purchase for a penny. And as we learned yesterday, a penny costs more to make than it does to spend. It costs almost 3 times as much to make a penny as it does to have a penny have any value.
Which means technically that burger costs $3 billion, according to Greg.
That's right, according to the mathematics of Greg Kabuki, the Greg Kabuki. But what did you do to celebrate Burger Day?
So my buddy Antoine told me, hey, a lot of places are doing 2-for-1s. Should look it up. So I looked it up, and sure enough, there was a burger joint that was doing 2-for-1s. I got 2 burgers and a milkshake. And I said, maybe this is too much food at midnight. But I said, you know what? It's National Burger Day.
Now, put it on the poll, Juju, please. Is 2 burgers and a milkshake at midnight too much food?
What constitutes a purchase? Like, can I just go in there and be like, I would like a side of ranch, please? And it's like 25 cents, and it's like, all right, give me my junior bacon cheeseburger.
You think you can? There are probably rules. We should have tested it yesterday. We should have sent you in trying to do it.
The cheapest thing I can find.
Yes. I would have assumed, without reading the fine print, that you have to buy something that's at least worth as much as what the bacon cheeseburger would normally be worth.
You know what the end around for that is? You say, I'd like 1 side of ranch, please. I'm like, oh, here you go. Go, just take it. Like, no, I want to pay for it.
How much?
By the way, when I ask you at the window for an extra side of ranch, don't tell me it's 19 cents. Like, give me the side of ranch.
Does that annoy you more at a fast food joint or like a regular wing joint? Because if I order 10 wings, and nowadays 10 wings is like $20, and I use my little ramekin of ranch, give me more goddamn ranch.
Yeah, I think if you are...
No more charge.
If you are anything more than a fast food place, like, get a grip. I get it. You don't want people abusing it. But if someone's just asking for 1 more ranch or 1 more blue cheese, just give it to them.
There's no middle ground with fast food places. They either charge you for every single one, or they will take a handful and like throw you 72 ranches.
Because that's all about the manager. If your manager's up your ass about it, look, there's the places where they charge you. These are poor, these frontline people, man. They don't want to have a hard time.
They just act like they're just coming out of their check or something.
They
right?
are,
Like, I asked the waiter, I'm like, hey, can I get an extra ranch?
Oh.
And it's the one that has like the Ken's ranch that has like the peel-off foil on the top. And he's like, I'm like, buddy, it's 1 ranch. It's 19 cents. Like, what are you giving me that for?
If you got a waiter, nah, man, you cannot be treating your customers like that. If you're a fast food place, I get it, because then, like I said, if the manager, the owner has it, then they're doing all types of accounting and stuff. Like, wait, man, we lost $17 this month. What happened? Well, Tony's been giving out ranches left and right like they're popcorn.
Old Burger Breath, Jeremy, who just whispered in my ear, I interviewed Jake Burger for Burger Day.
Available now on Miami
Get
Mic'd
out,
Up.
Jeremy.
Yes.
Wherever
let
you
me
get your
see
podcasts.
here. Well, we're shorthanded today, so to send him out is going to cost us.
Delayed penalty, maybe?
More than a
I
penny.
mean, I get to talk baseball.
No, well, I do need you to talk baseball, but nobody here wants to talk baseball, which I'm pretty bothered by.
Nobody ever wants to talk about what I want to talk about.
Yeah, so
Minor penalty, 2 minutes, asshole.
Fair.
yeah, but it's said incorrectly. It should be 2 minutes, asshole. It's not. The penalty should be for being an asshole. It's not 2 minutes, comma, asshole.
You called him an asshole. Right?
That's right. Like the phrasing on this isn't correct.
We need a pause.
A comma. We need a comma, so it doesn't sound like it's just someone penalizing him for being an asshole by calling him an asshole.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Today's episode is sponsored by DraftKings. Stay tuned because you'll hear more about DraftKings and all it has to offer throughout the show. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
If you've been listening here for a while, you know that I am fascinated by everything happening in the business of sports content, at least in part because I'm not retired right now, because what Meadowlark Media is doing is trying to compete in the space of sports media content. I can't help but find it fascinating when ESPN turns into a bit of a frat house where on Monday Night Football they're saying tits and again, and Pat McAfee is getting drunk in Ireland and Shannon Sharp has a sex tape. It's a super interesting time to see what happens when athletes converge on what used to be a journalistic space and kick down the door on we're here now, and McAfee goes begrudgingly to a meeting on campus with journalists he doesn't like and that he says don't like him because, of course, the athletes are a threat to everything that's been the standard in this industry for a while.
To be fair, McAfee is one down in terms of journalists he doesn't like who don't like him. You don't have to worry about that anymore.
How do you mean? Oh, because he knocked out Woj, and he knocked out Woj while using Shams, which was interesting. And Woj has Pitaro as a giant ally. I mean, he's got the president of the company is responsible for everything that's happened with Woj, and McAfee was using Shams, his nemesis, on ESPN in the afternoon when, and Amin left this part out. A lot of people don't know this, and it's a little early for it because we're celebrating the pioneering career of Woj. But Woj was really vindictive about how he carved out the space on ESPN for where it is that people would and could be used around basketball, and he consolidated all of the power. I'm saying that, not Amin. I know that because I've talked to too many people at ESPN who were afraid of falling on the wrong side of Woj.
Also, it's never fun when you find out where in the pecking order you are. You think you're number one, and then all of a sudden someone walks in and says, hey, I want to put Shams on my show every week, and you can't do nothing about it, and your big brother can't do nothing about it. That's got to be a jarring situation.
Imagine that, okay? Just in the minutia of silly sports media stuff. Woj's ally is the president of the company, but McAfee's got the relationship with Iger. That's the head of Disney, and McAfee had to get in there and be rented, not owned, under the understanding, because he cares deeply about his audience and not changing because Disney makes him change. So he says, I'm going to do it. You got to let me do it the way that I want to do it. You got to let me curse. You got to let me do the things I want, which include Shams, Woj's nemesis. When Woj was controlling where everybody was, like, don't get this part twisted. If people were appearing somewhere on the network, Woj had a hand in how it is that was happening.
And the opposite. If people weren't appearing on the network, there was that too.
That part's more damning. Isn't it? Like, I just feel like it's the first part what Dan said, that's kind of normal, I think, of creating opportunities for people. It's the
The removal of opportunities,
Yeah, that's the part.
the suppression of opportunities. Yeah,
It's real power, okay? Woj was a power broker, Pataro's a power broker, McAfee's a power broker, and Iger is the biggest of the power brokers. But the reason I bring all of this up, okay, as we all compete in this space, and I know you guys get tired of me talking about it, but as I said, it's been a singular obsession. I've never cared about the business of money before this, because I just wanted to speak at the microphone and do the writing, but now we're responsible for trying to compete in this space, and we're trying to do it by doing it differently. But Kurt Warner said this on Monday, and I want to, after football games, and this is the part that I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about documentaries, too, as I see that Oprah and Apple are fighting, and she just bought back. She didn't like the documentary that Apple was doing, so she just bought it back from Apple. And
must be nice.
Yeah. Kurt Warner says on Monday, I've been grinding tape since 8 p.m. last night, and I have gotten through 10 games. How do all of these people talk about these players and teams on a Monday as if they've watched the games and really can evaluate them? Can you guys share your routine so I can see if it's more efficient? And then Ryan Fitzpatrick gets in with, I would recommend a healthy dose of Red Zone and Stephen A. Anything more than this, and you're wasting your time, Kurt.
It's a great tweet.
Amin, this part is interesting to me because Kurt Warner is unbelievably meticulous about what his analysis is going to be, and he's going to be careful about criticizing people because he lived it, and he wants people, if they're going to criticize, to be informed and not be flippant. But the grand majority of most football coverage on television on Mondays is less informed and prepared than Kurt Warner's, but we got to go to market. And so not everyone's breaking down game tape. And what do you do with what it is that Kurt Warner is saying there? Because he's trying to play the game fair, but that's not what's going to get rewarded. It's not going to. ESPN has Orlovsky. They have NFL Live. They have Ryan Clark doing some film breakdown. McAfee does a ton of it because people do like film breakdown. But he's not wrong when he says this is a super complicated sport. And in order to analyze it correctly, you got to be thorough, and you can't do it on all of the games on Monday morning.
So Dan, let me tell you. So first and foremost, it always blows my mind. Whatever your sport is, whether it's football, whether it's basketball, whether it's baseball, or whether you are a generalist, a sports generalist, right? The people who said, I had Bucks Raiders on that screen, and you're full of shit. There's no way you can watch multiple games at the same time and be detailed and nuanced.
Correctly.
You can watch it, popcorn and beer, sure. Wings and beer. Oh my God, he just had it. You can do that. You cannot watch and retain information and nuanced information to do the job.
But you're talking about this the way that you watch basketball. You and I watch basketball differently. You're sitting there watching every possession, and you're doing analysis on adjustments that I'm not doing. I am doing popcorn and a drink. I'm not analyzing what has Spoelstra done in this timeout while I'm watching 4 other basketball games.
So when you put that in that perspective, Dan, if you are watching, and this is why it always tickles me when people watch general sports shows. What Kurt Warner's talking about, he's talking about NFL specific, and we'll get to that in a second. But people who watch First Take, Undisputed, those kind of shows, and then yell and argue about what Stephen A. or Skip or Shannon says, do you think these people watched every single sporting event with a keen eye and and nuance and with the DVR pausing?
Well, I do wonder, though. I wonder what the audience, given the power.
There's a difference. That's what I'm building to is there's a difference between a general sports analyst and a sports-specific analyst.
There's a difference that you're making that I don't think the audience is making. I believe the power of television is such that if there's expertise being blown in my face on television, that especially if it's morning television, especially if it's the audience that has historically been around morning television, which back before the pandemic wasn't working. During the day, was at home instead of being somewhere that they had to be working. Those people were watching sports, and I don't believe they're making a distinction, the distinction that you're making between Stephen A. says this and Kurt Warner says that. They might say Kurt Warner knows more because he's a quarterback, but they're not going to say Kurt Warner's analyzing that game because he's breaking down tape in a way that Stephen A. Smith isn't. I don't believe those are distinctions being made by an audience.
I think the other thing, too, is when you look at those morning day television parts where people don't want to hear a cover 2 shell breakdown, right? Like, you want to hear the headlines of the day. You're tuning in to hear, oh, the Cowboys lost 45-19. What's happening with Dak? Did he deserve the money that they gave him at the beginning of the season? It's hard to break down nuance, like, oh, the corner was shading to the inside here. That's why he was able to beat the man on the... Like, those kind of things are tough to digest early in the morning, if at all.
No, absolutely. Like, that's a morning show. No one's coming for hard analysis. They're coming for just get me caught up on everything that happened last night because I went to bed early, right?
Is Kurt Warner attacking like Stephen A. here, or is he attacking fans?
He's not attacking. He's asking. He's almost not like, bless his heart. He's like, how's everyone else doing this? Am I doing this wrong?
Well, I think he's being sarcastic.
Well,
I think he's seeing a lot of bloviating on television and saying these people are giving very strong opinions without being as informed as I am about the opinions that they're giving.
It's an obnoxious tweet from Kurt Warner.
No, guys, you got this all wrong. Kurt Warner's a nice guy, man.
I know he's a nice guy, but he's being like, it's kind of like we did a thing here when we went out to Dolphins training camp a few years ago. For the next 3 weeks, we were all just like, I was out at camp, and whatever I say after that, that's what he's doing here. Like, I just want everyone to know I'm watching all these games. Like, we get Dan Orlovsky does this stuff too, where he posts a video. He's just like, just so you know, I've been diving into the tape here. It's like, you're watching a little tape, okay? You don't need to overstate it. They're just shoving in our face. We get it. You're smarter than us, Kurt Warner. We get it. You know football. Like that's really what he's doing there. He's like, I know, I don't know what everyone else is doing, but I'm watching every game, every play, and it's like, we get you.
I don't know why you guys are getting Kurt Warner here, man. He's a nice guy. They made a movie about him.
I like Kurt Warner. I'm just saying.
This is
a look at me Louie tweet.
I don't know if you do.
This is a look at me Louie tweet. This is him saying, I watch tape and the film better than everybody else, as you should.
Look at me, Louie.
It's like, yeah.
You co-signing this nonsense?
Well, you keep coming back with Kurt Warner's a nice guy, which no one disputes.
Too sweet to be sarcastic.
Too sweet to be sarcastic.
I don't believe that was a genuine question that he was throwing at the internet. Please, internet, help me be more efficient at how I study football. Please teach me, Juan Lemonface 46534. Are you breaking down more film than I am?
And Ryan Fitzpatrick in that tweet, like, he senses what I got. So he's like, let me give him a little something here. Like, oh, you're going to be, like, we get you, Kurt. You're watching all the film.
Sarcastic asshole, Ryan Fitzpatrick. There you go. See, that answer,
That was sarcastic.
That was sarcastic.
One of the frustrations that I had as I came up in the business, Amin, is that I was perpetually explaining to people the difference between a beat writer or a reporter and what it is that I was doing as a columnist. Mm-hmm. I always had to explain it, and people's eyes would glaze over. The beat reporter is interested in news, in facts. It's not about analysis. It's not about opinion. Mm-hmm. I was explaining this all the time, and I might as well have not been, because it didn't matter that I was explaining it to athletes and everyone else alike. I don't believe that when people are consuming most sports coverage that they're being any kind of discerning. They're just trying to rest their mind, and maybe something on the television is interesting or entertaining, but they're not making much of a distinction, I don't think, between the generalist, as you said, because it's not possible for Stephen A. Smith to know everything about everything. It's not possible to be one of the, I mean, I know he sounds like it, but it's not possible to be somebody who is thoroughly informed on all the sports the same way. There's a reason that there are experts. Ariel Helwani can exist in one sport. Right. He can, and he's talented enough to do that in a couple of sports, but he can't do it in all sports.
No, it's like when Adam Schefter was doing sideline NBA games. I was like, look, there's no shortage of people that we have at the network who are qualified, who have done this job, who want that job, who want more opportunities, more reps at that job, and because Adam Schefter played fantasy basketball with Chris Paul or whatever, fantasy football with Chris Paul, he's like, I kind of got into this NBA thing. I want to do this sideline stuff. I'm like, you're demeaning the position. Like, this isn't like just something that anyone walks in and does. This is something that requires an acumen, connections, and a dedication to it. So, I mean, I would propose to you right now, we can define all the different roles, right? You have a show host, a studio show host. Their job is to make great television. How do I keep the conversations balanced? How do I get all the voices in there? When do we move on to the next topic? All right, so think of your Chris Fowlers, think of your Mike Greenbergs. That's
Stugotz's.
Your Pablo Torres.
Right, sure.
Why'd you roll your eyes at Pablo Torre?
This guy, does he really move on to other topics?
He's one of the star hosts of Meadowlark, and you're sitting there mentioning all the other people at other companies.
I'm always smiling.
I'm too sweet to be sarcastic, Dan. All right, so next you have your analysts. Now, analysts come in different flavors. You have your former athletes, you have your former coaches / front office people, and then you have people who have been reporting and digging into this area for so long that they've almost like in the newspaper version, they've graduated from beat writer to columnist. So Stephen A. Smith would be an example, right? Stephen A. Smith, anytime anything NBA happens, it's not just because Stephen A. Smith is a magnetic personality. It's also because he has bona fides. He covered the NBA for a very long time. He is very connected in that world. So when he sits down in an analyst seat, that's why he gets to do that. Max Kellerman on boxing, right? He is so deep and connected in that world, even though he is not a former boxer or a boxer training or whatever. We accept that his knowledge is so deep and runs back so far that he can sit in that analyst seat, right? Then you have reporters, and these are your newsbreakers, your Schefters, your Passons, your Chris Hayneses, your Shamses. These are the guys that are going out there, getting information, and then breaking it to us. When Shams tells us something, when Chris Haynes tells us something, when Jeff Passan tells us something, 99% of the time,
it's always right.
Not only is it right, why is it right then? Because they're not telling you their opinion. I'm not telling you, I think it's going to be 92 degrees today. They're telling you, I just checked the thermometer, it's 92 degrees right now. That's what they're telling you, which is different from me and you saying, I think it's going to be hot today. We've had a crazy hot streak the last week.
You're making distinctions, though, that I believe the average person watching sports television is simply saying to themselves, I could do that. I have had no training in any of these things. I can do every one of those jobs that's being done up there. Maybe some of them are saying I'm too shy to do it, but that I don't believe that they believe that there's any special training that goes into much of anything that is on television when it comes to sports expertise.
I had this conversation with a comedian buddy of mine, right? We were talking about podcasts, like the people who do podcasts who are funny on podcasts but are not comedians, and how they react to the backlash when something goes wrong. And I was saying to him, I said, the reason why is because you guys, you comedians, you are used to, hey, I went up on a stage with a microphone and I said stuff that the crowd instantly did not like. Either didn't think it was funny or thought it was offensive or whatever, and you got to navigate that. And that's your life as a comedian, right? Whereas people who are funny on podcasts, again, you're not looking at an audience. Even right now, we're one of the biggest podcasts in the world. I don't see millions of listeners. I see cameras. I see Jeremy. I see Chris. I see you. I don't see the people who are listening and watching to this on YouTube.
You'll hear from them later.
I'll hear from them later, but I'm used to it, right? I'm used to people not liking, not agreeing. If I'm a host of a podcast that's popular, gaining popularity, and I say something and people say, wait a second, I don't like that thing, all of a sudden I'm getting this negative feedback that I've never gotten in my life at this scale. And so I don't know how to handle that. They think it's easy to sit here and speak in the mic and be interesting and funny and insightful every time. It's not, but it looks easy. You know why? Because we're fucking good at it.
Everyone thinks they're a showman. Where's my camera? Until the lights are on, until the bright lights turn on, and then you choke. You can't do this.
I saw Roy Wood's new show. It's exceptional.
Yeah.
It's got range, and it's really hard to do what he's doing and make it look as easy as they make it look, to have a space between smart and dumb, a range. It's uncommon. What is the name of the show? Because it's only had one episode, and it's something along the lines of "I've got news for you." But I love that, Bill Maher tackles it one way, John Oliver tackles it another. The way that he is getting people informed by bringing them into a circus tent where a bunch of comedians are talking about the news of the week and downloading everybody on what's happening in America with information that's funny but also informative. It's hard to do all of that. And in their first show, at least, and I'm assuming it will grow, it was excellent.
It's called Have I Got News For You? And the other thing about that show, John Oliver's show, and indeed any general sports show, right? That the part that people don't understand also is those shows all have armies of researchers.
Damn right.
Their hosts are getting handed stacks of information. Mike Greenberg would walk. We could make as many jokes as we want about Greeny.
He's excellent at hosting.
Greeny would get a dossier this big every morning about everything that happened in sports, and he's thorough. He goes through it, and so when he sits in that seat and he talks, and he's tossing from topic to topic, he may not have watched any of it, but he's got a playbook of information that he has processed and is now regurgitating very expertly, which again is not an easy job.
You say this. I want to ask you guys this question. Everyone listening to this and everyone watching this, yes or no? You believe they think they could do Greeny's job? Yes or no? Because I believe the grand majority of people listening to this think that it's just sitting up there and there's not an actual skill to it, that it's just finger guns. I can't explain to you how bad Stugotz would be at the hosting job, even though he thinks he would be great at every job in sports media. He would be so very bad at it because he would just overlaugh every time he got nervous and not realize, no, you got to carry it here. This is something that you can't just laugh and sink into the laughter.
He would be so chummy, too, with, like, the former athletes. It would just be like a chuckle fest between everybody.
But you would crush it, Dan.
I have been a host. I wouldn't be a host at one of those shows. I wouldn't be good at one of those shows. I'm not particularly good at television. I'm just okay at television. Like that's a different skill set. It's all of these are different skill sets. What are you shaking your face about?
It feels a little fake humility there. Like I'm not even that good.
No, I don't think I'm that. I think I'm just okay at television.
Dan, you sound like when we told Tracy McGrady you're going to be a Hall of Famer, and he's like, really? Tracy McGrady, up until they announced, had no idea he was going to go.
Amin, I don't have any training in television other than doing television.
That's
like I have
the people on
but
TV.
No, but I'm saying I came up as a writer. That's not most of the people on TV. There are plenty of people who have training in what it is that they're doing. You're the anomaly, not most people. You didn't have training, and I didn't have training. That's the. What do you mean? How do you not understand that this is something that people train for?
You just did what we were just spending the last 20 minutes saying the audience doesn't understand. You just said, I could do that. Those people don't have training. What? You just spent 15 minutes explaining to everybody what the different roles are.
I'm different.
The single hardest thing of all the things we've talked about is probably that driving, right? The Ernie Johnson, the Mike Greenberg, the host of those pregame shows, because you got to keep it flowing without it seeming too herky-jerky.
I don't know. It's they all got their own difficulties, right? It's kind of like, hey, at what age is it easiest to be a parent? Like when your kid is a baby, when your kid is a toddler, when they're in high school. It's different. But
what is the answer to that? What is the answer?
There is no answer. The answer is it's always hard. It's just a different kind of hard.
After 18 has to be the easiest time to be a parent.
No, because at that point, you really can't tell them shit. And yet, like, you still will always feel that, no, but I'm your parent. You think, I talked to you about this, I don't know if it was on or off the, it was when we were Pablo, and I said, the way sometimes you talk to and about your dad makes me want to slap you. Like, how dare you, man? What do you think this guy thinks? You think this guy looks at you as Dan Le Batard, this master of an empire? No, he looks at you as like, little Daniel, talking shit back to me? Are you kidding me?
The easiest part to parenting, the easiest window is like 3 months to 7 months. Because like the first 3 months, they don't sleep. It's like crazy sleep schedules. Once you get them on that sleep schedule around 3 months, before they're lifting their neck up, they just go wherever you put them. Like, just plop them down. They'll stay right there. If they cry, feed them. That's it.
First of all, you don't know why they're crying. Sometimes they're upset. Sometimes they shat themselves.
But just feed them. If they cry, feed them. It works.
See, there you go. Spoken like the dad, right? That's definitely dad talk right there. Like, I don't know. It's easy. 37 months, I had to do shit. Yeah, you didn't have to do shit.
No, I'm telling you, even that window of 3 to 7 months, they're just lying there. Like, once they get to 7 months, now they're moving around a little bit more. Like,
you're stressed the entire time. Like, oh my God, this hasn't moved yet. Oh my God, they're not eating solids yet. Oh my God, like, dude, you're always stressed.
You're stressed holding them the first couple of months. By 3 months, you're twirling that thing around like a pizza. I'm like, got one hand. I'm making a phone call. I got the kid in one hand. I'm telling you, by 3 months, you're like, you're good.
And this is why your kid cusses you out now.
Well, I can't believe that you thought it was easy 3 to 7 months when they're screaming shit monsters. Like, I am terrified of that age. You're spinning infants around on your finger like Meadowlark Lemon.
Folks, the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's something that you'd love to learn? As an adult, do you make time to explore the new things as often as you'd like? Or has that sense of curiosity been left behind? Kids are always learning, always growing, but as adults, sometimes we lose that spark. What's something you've been wanting to pick up? Gardening, a new language, maybe finally beat your best friend in bowling. Therapy can help you reconnect with that sense of wonder. Your back-to-school era can start at any age. BetterHelp, because learning and growing should never stop. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Rediscover your curiosity with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/DLB to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DLB.
Stugotz here. The most important things in my life are my wife, my children, and of course, their safety. That's why I've had Simply Safe Home Security in my house for 7 years now. I want you to have the same peace of mind that I and so many listeners experience every day, which is why I partnered with Simply Safe to offer listeners 50% off a system. Just visit simplysafe.com/DLB to claim it. Whether it's setting the alarms before we all go to bed or setting that alarm before we go on another vacation, Simply Safe gives me amazing peace of mind. Simply Safe provides faster response for better protection with Fast Protect monitoring and Live Guard protection. Protect your home with Simply Safe right now. Le Batard Show listeners can get 50% off any new Simply Safe system, plus a free indoor security camera with Fast Protect monitoring. Just visit simplysafe.com/DLB to claim this offer. It's for a limited time only, so be sure to order today. That's simplysafe.com/DLB. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Stugotz, I'm not going to lie, my golf game, I've really been struggling with my irons recently.
Right. I struggle with that word.
Irons.
I can't say it.
Go ahead.
You're going to say it for me.
Try, let me hear
Iron.
Yeah, you can't.
Say it. I'm telling you, I can't say it.
My iron game is always a work in progress.
Yeah, but you're a good golfer, man. You're telling me you got better?
I'm telling you, PXG is a game changer. Whether you're like me and you shoot low 80s, whether you're like Stugotz and you got a little bit of a higher score, you need to go to a PXG location, get yourself fitted, because these irons, I swear I've knocked 7 to 8 strokes off my game.
So I've been playing golf for a long time. I've never had a fitting done. I went to the PXG fitting. I went out to Weston Hills Country Club. Steve, the fitter, was out there. It took less than an hour. I brought out my old clubs. He said, "What are you doing with these things?"
Yeah.
He threw them in the garbage, and he started making my new clubs. And what I realized, Chris, and Steve is fantastic, and if I ever get another fitting, the only place I'm going to is PXG. What he told me was, your grips are too thin, the clubs are too long, gave me shorter clubs, gave me thicker grips, and I have taken 5 to 6 strokes off of my score.
PXG has multiple fitting locations in your area. You look up a location, you bring your clubs, you get fitted. Weeks later, you have brand new clubs, the best irons you've ever hit. The new Black Ops irons are game improvement missile launchers. They feature X-Core 2 technology. It's just a game changer.
They're incredibly easy to hit. They're incredibly affordable as well. They are only $149.99 a stick. How about that?
That's a great price.
Take the PXG
irons
challenge. It's a ton of fun. And if PXG's new Black Ops
irons
don't outperform your current
irons
by delivering either more distance or tighter dispersion during your fitting, you'll get a $100 MasterCard rewards card. Hurry. This offer ends October 7th. Book your fitting today at PXG.com. That's PXG.com. I can't say the word irons. See? That's why Chris said it.
Dan Le Batard.
But it's just his titties are sitting on the shelf that is his belly.
Stugotz.
You said titties, and it like shocked me a little bit. I wasn't quite prepared for titties.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
We're on Max right now, and you can catch us on the DraftKings Network from Monday to Friday, 11 to 2 p.m. Eastern. We are also on Peacock with Dan Patrick, NBC Sports Fast Channel, Monday through Friday from 12 to 3 Eastern. YouTube is always available for you at 9 a.m. in the morning with our live show Eastern time. But when I mentioned Dan Patrick, he had a similar take to Greg Cody yesterday on the arbitrary Ohtani and the 50-50 just being a round number. Ohtani is in town. He stole another base yesterday. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, even with the new base stealing rules where there are limits on the number of times that you can throw to first base, it's still startling to me to see someone of that size stealing bases. Like Canseco did it for a while, but getting to 50 bases stolen at that size when you're that kind of power guy is unusual.
Jeremy, what was his career high in stolen bases before this year? Because
that would be 26.
So he just decided, okay, hey, I signed this big deal, can't pitch this year. How else can I add to the team? What can I do here? I'm going to steal 50 bases.
This is why he is on his way to being the greatest baseball player ever, because when have we ever seen this? A guy who does everything on the field.
There's no such thing. Well, he gets caught stealing. He's not that good at it, to be honest. He gets caught stealing a lot. What, Tony?
Then he's a tank. What do you want him to do? He gets caught stealing. He's 6'5", 270.
Well, no, but Tony, usually the guy who gets caught stealing a lot is someone who stops stealing. Like, that's usually how that one goes.
I'm actually curious, Jeremy, are the new rules, is it easier to steal now?
Yes.
With the new rules?
Yes, but he's also only been caught stealing 4 times this year.
A lot of skeptical people are saying that this stolen base increase is because of the new rules.
Let me ask a question.
It is.
As an ignorant person relative to baseball to everybody else in the room, maybe not Tony. Tony, me and you are on the same, we're on the same ignorant side, right? Okay. I'm looking up hey, what was the most? 50 sounds a lot. What was the most ever?
Oh, no, it's 100 and something with Ricky
The most
Henderson.
ever,
What?
It's 138 by some guy named Hugh Nickel in 1887. I'm just going to assume that doesn't count because there were no black people or anything. But number two...
there were black people. They just weren't playing baseball. Yeah.
Number 2 was Ricky Henderson, who in 1982 stole 130 bases. And I thought about what you just said. He gets caught a lot, right? Because he steals 130 out of 172 attempts. How is that possible? Whatever the rules are, how is it possible you steal 130 bases and only get caught 40 some odd
He was
times?
really good at it, Amin. He was better than anyone ever at the stealing of bases. In fact, he stood next to Lou Brock when he broke his record and held the base over his head and said to Lou Brock, "I'm the greatest." That's what do you mean? How does that happen? Because he was great at stealing bases. Jeremy, take a look at the career number of times that Ohtani gets caught stealing, because you're doing it this season. It's easier to steal bases. The Nationals they've got 10 guys who can steal bases.
That's entirely fair, but we talk about how crazy it is that he stole 130 bases in 172 attempts. That's about 75% of the time you're stealing the base. Ohtani's doing it at a 92% clip this year. It's ridiculous. So I can look at the career, but this season, if he attempts to steal 92% of the time, he's safe. That's with 50 homers, 48 homers.
What's happening here? Right? This guy was created in the lab, no? This isn't normal.
It is not in any way normal. It is unprecedented in the history of this sport, and this sport has more history than any of the other sports.
Years ago, I asked the question, this is when I was in college, I asked my buddies, well, why do they keep switching the pitchers? Left-handed pitchers do better against certain guys, right-handed pitchers. I was like, okay. But have we ever had a guy who's a switch pitcher? And I'm like, then it thought to me, that would be insane. Could you imagine that if the guy just went up to the mound, oh, you want to throw up one of those? Okay, I'm going to turn this way. Give me my other glove. That would be crazy. And but everyone's like, that's never going to happen. And I look at Shohei now, and I'm like, is it that far off? If we see this guy who does everything else perfectly other than throw with his offhand?
I think we do have an ambidextrous pitcher. He has one glove that fits both hands, I'm sure. And my limited baseball knowledge, I also had no idea Ricky Henderson stole so many bags. Wow.
There was a game this year, I'm trying to remember, I think it was a Cleveland game, where they hadn't been held to so few hits since they had been no hit by Jim Abbott. It was along the lines of, do you guys remember the viral video of 2 young black kids being introduced to In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins? Telling a generation that Jim Abbott threw a no-hitter with one arm and that there was a Yankee pitcher who pitched with one arm, seeing a generation realize, oh my God, there's a guy out there who once upon a time threw a no-hitter and pitched for the Yankees, and he had only one arm. It was like a riddle that doesn't have an answer. If you have not seen it, you would not be able to explain. How could you explain to somebody, if you have not seen it, that there was a pitcher who had only one arm?
Well, I mean, let's be fair. You really are pitching. On the other hand, you just need it.
Most pitchers use one arm.
Yeah, in case the ball comes back, you catch it. But like if the ball never comes to you, you could throw a no-hitter, right? If you're just throwing strikes or pop-ups.
Well, it's just more dangerous than anything.
Well, it's not.
Because he has no way to protect himself if a line drive comes back.
He's got a glove. No, he had the glove. No. Well,
wait, what?
Yes, he's white. Well, you think he's playing the position without a glove?
Yeah, he doesn't need a glove.
What? I'm introducing you to the fact that Jim Abbott threw with one arm and also had a glove. What I'm saying about this being a riddle is, okay, for those of you who don't know about Jim Abbott at all, how the hell are you a major league pitcher who fields his position with a glove and only has one arm? How do you throw a pitch and have a glove after throwing a pitch? It's a riddle.
That's the more impressive part, to be honest. Throwing a no-hitter, not impressed. Okay, so you're a good pitcher. Being able to have a glove that you then put on very quickly after you throw the pitch, that's impressive.
But I imagine most people listening to this who don't know what I'm talking about with Jim Abbott don't even know where the glove was, because how do you throw a baseball if you've got the glove? If people are listening to this and they don't know what I'm talking about with Jim Abbott, I think they're imagining Jim Abbott throwing the ball the way you would a high-live pelota with the glove that you're throwing it with. I mean,
that would be awesome.
People who are listening to this who have no idea how Jim Abbott did that, where do they think the glove was? In the crack of his ass? Like, where do they think it was?
Like, kind of like in between his. Well, he doesn't have an armpit on the. I don't know where.
Well, no, he does. He does. He had an arm.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go. We have video of it here.
Yes, he would tuck
just
it
beyond the elbow.
He would tuck it in the other armpit.
I had him doing it like this, like a
under the
pillowcase,
chin,
like a pillowcase.
He's throwing 90 miles an hour.
And
Threw a no-hitter with the glove under the chin would be crazy.
Oh no, wait, hold on. The glove is kind of like perched on his nub.
Yeah. It was misleading the way
it's perched on his nub.
Dan
that doesn't have a hand.
A little misleading what you guys did there.
Yeah, exactly.
I was envisioning a fully one-armed person, like nothing at the shoulder, like from the shoulders.
Oh,
gone.
so he's not impressive because he, has half an arm.
He's not one-armed. He's one-handed.
1 3/4.
This is crazy.
He's got an arm.
He's got a full arm.
He's got an arm and a forearm. He doesn't have a hand. You guys, once again, this is why no one trusts the media.
Let me play this Dan Patrick sound for you, because he agrees with Greg Cody that 50 is just an arbitrary round number. Sort of agrees. Let's hear this.
Shohei Ohtani's had an MVP season even if he doesn't do 50-50. And if you go back to when this season started, coming off surgery, a procedure, you also had his interpreter and the gambling debts. Was Ohtani involved, not involved? He's in Korea. They open up the season. Is he going to play? How is he going to play? He's not going to be able to pitch. Is that going to affect his hitting? That's before we even start the season. And now you go 48-48. It won't have the same ring to it. And that will be unfortunate because we haven't seen this before. 48-48. I hope he gets to 50-50 just because then history will be, I think, kinder to him and this monumental season. But if he ends up like 49-48, and then it's like, oh, yeah, well, how many home runs did he have? How many stolen bases? We'll get it confused. Did he have 48 home runs? 49s? Oh, the other way. 50-50? Everybody's going to consume it and go, man, that year Ohtani went 50-50. You don't look back and go, boy, that year that guy went 48-49.
People hate math. I do think they hate math, and so they need it made easy for them. Because it is, while not as impressive as 50-50, 49-48 has also not been done by anybody.
49 is one of the worst numbers in general. That's why you don't see safeties wear it. If you think about all the numbers, if I ranked all 100 numbers, 49's a bottom 5 number, I think, of all the hundreds.
Wow, really?
It's just not the 9 in general. All the 39, 29, 9 is just not aesthetically.
Unsexy number?
It's just not a sexy number. So he needs to
What
get to 50.
number is sexy for you, Chris?
Well, 21 and 23 are sexy numbers.
We already talked about this yesterday. For some reason, the 8 and the 5 were viewed as the most voluptuous. We didn't know whether the 5 had a belly or an ass. We don't know which way the 5 was going.
So he's got the ball in one hand, right? And then the glove sits like this. See how the glove and it can stick very easily. So all you got to do is tuck it right here.
But you have to have it facing the other way so you can put your hand in it easier. Like he kind of has it.
I don't know. This is a left-handed glove. I'm assuming his glove would have been
It's a right hand. It's for a righty, that glove.
Yeah, no, but this goes on the left hand, right? If I had another, okay, let me do it this way, just so Chris feels, Mr. Baseball Chris. Okay.
Well, if you're going to do it, you should be authentic. You should try and do it correctly.
I'm not left-handed.
Okay, but you're not also someone who has half an arm and you're doing that.
Someone right-handed would have that glove.
Okay.
Oh, wait, but I guess if he only has my bad.
You see my point? Yeah, thank you.
You're screwing up Amin's mechanics.
Exactly, right? So this thing sits on, it perched right here, as you can see, because the glove is very tight, right? It's tight. It's got oils and stuff. They put rubber bands around it to make it nice and tight, right? It's here, so it doesn't just flop off like, that sheet I had earlier. I could do all types of movement like this. If I hold it close enough to my body, right, and I got the ball here, right, I'm throwing, and now, boom, boom.
Okay.
And I'm not. This is my
got
first
a damn
time.
boom,
You
boom.
lifted the wrong leg, and just because you hit us with a boom boom doesn't mean that we're all like amazed. Oh, look, Jim Abbott's in our midst. Look at this. He hit us with a boom boom, and it seems like he can throw 90 miles.
I'm telling you, as someone who's never done that in my life, I just saw the dude do it one time.
Yes.
You guys are marveling, and I'm saying not that hard.
Okay.
What you don't understand is that when you throw a baseball, when you're pitching, you're supposed to be able to point your arm at the target to be able to give yourself the proper lineup of your shoulders and then come back. So if you're using this small part of your arm to hook the glove at the right balance, you have a wrist that's allowing you to keep the balance of the glove.
He's got a nub.
It doesn't allow him to do that. He's keeping it tucked in. This is crazy.
What was the name?
Hey y'all, it's Mike, and as you know, it is football season, the all-consuming football season. You live it, you breathe it, and you want to watch it as much as possible, both on your TV, but also sometimes you want to be a part of that atmosphere. But guess what? You don't have tickets. It's a sold-out event. What are you going to do? Well, I'll tell you exactly what you do. You download the Game Time app. For my money, it's the best app on that secondary ticket marketplace for a ton of reasons. But one of the reasons I want you to check it out for is this awesome new feature called Game Time Picks. It makes getting your tickets to see your favorite teams play even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Do it yourself. Pick an upcoming game on the app. Browse through the seats. I'm telling you right now, you'll love Game Time Picks. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code DAN for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code DAN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game time.
Now's a good time to remember where the story of tequila started. In 1795, the first tequila distillery was opened by the Cuervo family. And 229 years later, Cuervo is still going strong. Family owned from the start. Same family, same land. Now's a good time to enjoy Cuervo, the tequila that invented tequila. Go to Cuervo.com to shop tequila or visit a store near you. Cuervo, now's a good time. Trademarks owned by Becle, SAB, the CV. Copyright 2024. Próximo. Jersey City, New Jersey. Please drink responsibly.